Hello and welcome to the EML F1 Season 8 Championship, and today you join us for round 11 here at Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. And what a circuit to host the penultimate race of the season. This 5.5 kilometer long circuit is the only purpose-built American circuit to host Formula One racing, and it features 2 DRS straights and a couple of good overtaking opportunities. The first opportunity is up into turn 1, that sharp left-hander. Then you go through the S's down towards turn 11, down to Bobby Pin. Another sharp left-hander down to turn 12, down the long back straight. And again, sharp left-hander. Then down through turns 13 to 19, and the final corner, turn 20, Andretti, is your final opportunity to make a position before the finish line. Again, sharp left-hander. Now, why am I saying it is a great track for this championship? Well, we only have a 5-point difference between our championship contenders. EVR on 251 with Alien Motorsports on 246 points. 5 points separating these two teams as they head into the final 2 races of the season. It is going to be an absolutely brilliant race today and next week at Yas Marina to see how this battle pans out. QSL Esports a little further behind, 182 points, so they are still mathematically able to win the championship as well if they finish within 42 points of the P1 team at the end of today's race. However, that is going to be a difficult feat to attain, but we do of course have Gabza on hand to help, and we'll go over the driver lineups in just a second. F1 AF unfortunately unable to take the championship victory this season. However, in P4 they are able to fight for P3. Again, that 42 points difference between teams being the make or break here going into the final race of the season. P5 is going to be an all-out brawl between DLX FRC and Xbox Pro Gamers, since Esports PEC is a no-show tonight. So plenty of points on offer, and that will put them on the back foot heading into round 12. XPG bringing up the rear in P8 with XR8 and HRT in P9 and P10. Now our driver lineup for tonight: DLX running Thor and Alberto, Nobin and Shanks driving for Mercedes, while Ollie and Volker are driving for EVR. However, Volker has been swapped out for Exotic Planes, and we've seen some good stuff from both those drivers. EVR putting in a strong lineup for the penultimate race of the season. The Argos and Kra once again driving for HRT, while Manolo and Bourbon are representing XPG. Dylan and Knight are running for AMS tonight, Dylan being a fairly new driver. Knight, however, classic lineup, LS F1 and the Grand Data, almost called them F1 AF, the Grand Data, running for F1 AF of course. XR8 being a no-show, PEC being a no-show, and Gabza and Guido turning up for QSL. Now, for those of you who are new here, welcome. My name is Yanis Mann. I'll be calling the action for you guys tonight, as I have been doing for the past 10 weeks. And this is what our calendar looks like. Yes, we've gone through about 10... Well, I say about, sorry. We've gone through 10 races this season, and we have another 2 to go before the end of it. So join us next week for the season finale. Yes, you have joined a bit late, but we hope you still enjoy today's race and next week. Our point system is slightly different from the real F1. We've got 22 points on offer for our race winner, with 18 points for P2 and 15 points for P3. 12 points are on offer for P4, and then it's only a 1-point difference between each consecutive driver on the way down. So that means our top 15 score. And considering we've only got about 16 or 17 drivers in today, the possibilities of mathematically mathematically winning the championship, so to speak, for EVR or AMS is slim. You can pick up an extra point for pole position and an extra point for the fastest lap, which can be obtained in qualifying and the race, respectively. Almost said consecutively. Well, again, I don't know. Synonyms are a bit funny tonight. Anyways, let's go straight to the track. So as you can see, we are now following Guido, who is driving for QSL. I think this is the first time we've seen Guido out on circuit. Gabza will be alongside him. We've set the fastest lap of the evening so far, a 1:30.9. And I say evening, I do apologise. It's evening for us here in the UK. However, I'm sure we have plenty of people watching from all over the world, not just in the UK. Liago sets the fastest lap as Guido now comes across the line. Will he come right behind Gabza? No, he is still unable to set a lap time. Let's see who else is out on circuit that we could keep an eye on. Both EVR cars have set their times, Exotic Plains and Ollie in P3 and P4. The Williams of the Grandada and LS F1 are in P5 and P6, so a decent performance from them, while Shanks and Manolo round out your top 8, i.e. the drivers that have managed to set a lap so far. So in terms of the format for this evening then, again, for those of you who are new to it or need a refresher, qualifying is a short 18 minutes, followed by a half race length race. Again, I never know how to say that. Half race distance, but then, yeah, I mean, technically that works. Anyways, that's going to be 28 laps tonight on a 5.5 kilometer circuit. And maths, yeah, commentator maths sucks, so I will not do it now. I might do it during the break, see if we can get some total race distance down. But of course, that might fluctuate as well with pitting and safety cars and whatnot. But that only fluctuates by a few meters, so it shouldn't be too bad, right? I mean, they do the Bathurst 1000, they move the finish line specifically so that the drivers do exactly 1,000 kilometers when they cross that finish line. So it can't be too different unless they calculated exactly how many pit stops they will do. I don't know. It's quite interesting, all this stuff. I haven't really thought about it too much, but now I do. It does seem quite interesting. It does seem like an interesting topic. We've got some support for Guido in the chat. Do make sure you give these drivers your love and support. We've seen some great stuff from QSL in the past. We've seen some great fan love for them. We've also seen some stuff for AMS. We've seen some stuff for EVR. But yeah, QSL seems to be the popular one. Currently P3 in the championship with 182 points. They have yet to... they've got a little bit of ground to make up if they want to fight for P2 or even the championship win. And they are looking for a good result today. They need to be on the ball if they want to stand a chance at taking the championship victory in Yas Marina Bay circuits. We do have a few more drivers yet to set a lap time. We've got Bourbon out on a flying lap right now, but he hasn't validated, unfortunately. Guido is on his in-lap. Noben just came across the line to start his flying lap. Let's go on board with him for a little look around the circuit. So, up into turn 1, Big Red they call it, and yeah, big, appropriate since it's a massive corner, but it's actually named after a successful Texas businessman who helped invest in the circuit initially. Now down through turns 2 through to turn 9, and it's an interesting complex of lefts and rights, a few S's. Then you come into this later section of turn 7 through turn 10, which is a little bit more braking. Just drop that gear back one time every single corner. Then down into bobby pin, turn 11. Again, sharp left-hander. We might see some late lunges down into this corner, and then down the long back straight. Now, for some reason, I could not find how long this back straight was. For some reason. But then into turn 12 is probably going to be the most popular overtaking position, most popular overtaking opportunity. There we go. My brain is a bit slow. It's running out about 25 miles an hour, where it should be running about 60. Then through turns 13, 14, 15, and now through turns 16 to 18, you can see there's a little carousel. They call this the carousel, and apparently a dog ran across it, and they called it Moto, after it somehow miraculously came out unscathed during a MotoGP race. Then into turns 19 and 20, the final corner out onto the main straight, called Andretti, and Noben has set a decent time, P6 for the FRC car. Now we do have to remember that battle for P5 in the championship on between FRC, DLX and PC aren't on tonight. Who was the other team? XR8 was it? I can't remember. DLX. No, XPG, there we go. Sorry. Again, My brain's a little slow today. It's been a rough week, but hey-ho. LeagueRacing still on top. We do have some drivers setting their lap times now. We've got Gabza in P2, who's invalidated his lap time. LeagueRacing currently on a PB. He's improved by 400ths in the first sector, so we'll keep an eye on him. Gabza invalidated. Exotic Plains invalidated. Ollie will be another driver to come across the line soon. With Guido on his out lap, he'll start his flying lap sometime soon. And here we go. Gabza into the pits. Sorry, that was actually something else. And Ollie has invalidated his lap time as well. So you can see drivers already starting to push, already starting to get those track lap time invalidations, track limit warnings. Depends on which sport we're talking about. We call it track warnings here in F1, but in GT racing it's track limit warnings. It's the same thing, you know. Usually it's about 3 strikes and then you're out kind of thing until you get a massive penalty, unless pulling up to the back end of the Grand Dada in the lap times. Shanks coming across the line now as well. Unfortunately, no improvement for him. Guido on a flying lap. Alberto in P10. Last week, we saw some great stuff from the DLX, keeping it within that top 10 and then just taking the most, or making the most, I should say, of the penalties applied post-race by the stewards and taking a P4 overall result, the best result that DLX has had all season. So as long as DLX can get a good result today as well, that should put them in a fairly good position to fight for P5 in the championship. Now, while we were talking about DLX, we've had both Alpines come across the line to take P1 and P2. Dylan setting the faster of the 2 lap times, a 1:30.3 with Knight, a 1:30.6. Now remember, Knight has been at the top of the standings for a very long time. Not that we have a Drivers' Championship standing board thingamajiggy, but he is very high up there if we were to have one. So yeah, it is unfortunately Dylan, kind of a new guy, but I'm sure AMS would not have picked him if he weren't competent. So I could see some great stuff from him. The Grand Dada now setting his best lap time of the session with 6 minutes to go, a 1:30.7. We've also seen some great stuff from the Grand Dada in the past. Actually, just last week, we saw him secure a podium finish, the 3rd podium of the season for F1 AF. And actually, he's secured all 3 podiums this season. Bibin, nope, unfortunately not able, unless, well, it's his first race tonight. So, the Grand Dada, definitely the driver to keep an eye on when it comes to the Williams pair. We do also have some other lap times being put in right now. We've got Kra yet to set a lap time. We have got Manolo in the XPG going, oh my goodness, and a big slide for the Grand Dada, but he was on his in-lap, I think. So that shouldn't be too big of a deal for him. In P3 though, he's got a lot on the line. Gabza now starting his flying lap in P5. We've got Exotic Plains and Ollie also on their out laps right now, about to cross the line and start their flying laps. Alberto on an out lap as well. Guido currently going around turn 13, and eventually he'll get to the finish line, but at the moment he is about 4/10 off his best time, which is a bit tricky for him, unfortunately. So Ollie, where is Ollie? Ollie is now at the start of his lap time. Exotic Plains is just about to come across the start line. We've got Gabza still on his flying lap. LeagueRacing on his out lap, same as Kra, so they'll get out of the way of Gabza when it comes to it, hopefully. We have seen some miscommunication in the past, but there we go. You could see the Ferrari in the background just allowing him through, and that's the usual strategy when it comes to qualifying, is you're not racing each other. Yes, you're setting yourself up for a race, but you're not physically racing each other. Yes, you can try and impede each other, but you'll get a penalty for that, because that is unsportsmanlike. And the typical strategy when it comes to qualifying in terms of car setup is to run a 3-lap fuel load. So that means 1 out lap, 1 flying lap, and 1 in lap. Gabza unfortunately invalidated his lap time on the final couple corners, and as a result, he has now invalidated his lap time. He's pulled in early so that he can get 1 more shot at it. Yes, we are into that stage of the qualifying session. Almost said race. 4 minutes to go. It is going to be the final qualifying lap for many of our drivers. Ollie absolutely sending it now, but unfortunately still unable to get anything done. And he does slide in his haste to get into the pit lane. Exotic Plains will be another driver to come across the line and keep an eye on. We've got Alberto also about to cross the line to set a better time. Noben and Shanks also there. And Alberto, unfortunately, unable to set a better lap time. Exotic Plains also pulling into the pits. 3 minutes to go. And things seem to be heating up here for our qualifying drivers. They are struggling to keep that car within track limits. And this is a track where there is plenty of space to run off, just as the Argos demonstrated, and also straight into the pits, trying to get that 3 minutes of qualifying, trying to use that time as effectively as he can. Noben on his out lap, so he won't set a lap time. Kra currently on his flying lap. He has failed to set a lap time so far. We've seen some good stuff from Kra as well. He's been great at supporting the Argos in the couple races they've had this season. They came in about round 8, about Singapore, Las Vegas. That's when they started stepping in and taking a podium on their second start. So again, some good stuff from HRT. It was great to see the Ferrari back on the grid, and Kra comes across the line to take P13, unfortunately unable to set an even faster lap time. So again, it's going to be supporting for him. They're just trying to get out of P last at this point. They are currently last with 19 points in the championship and chasing the 40 points of the team ahead. Noben on probably his final flying lap, unless he's loaded the car up a little more heavily, and now everyone starts coming back out. We've got Manolo on his out lap, Shanks on his out lap, Kra retires from the session, Guido on his out lap, Bourbon on his out lap, Dylan on his out lap, Knight on his out lap. We've also got Ollie and Exotic Plains on their out laps, Aless F1 on his flying lap, 2/10 in the first sector last time round. He's on a 130.904, only 4 thousandths off of Gabza in the QSL, and that should make things very interesting for F1 AF in their chase for P3 in the championship. Now, who will be the first to cross the line? I think it will be Alberto in the Red Bull. He'll be the first to come across the line. Then we've got Ollie and Exotic Plains also there. We've got the championship contenders, so to speak, or the guys that we really need to keep an eye on, still on their out laps. And look at the traffic jam down in turns 12 to 16. Again, they all just pile up so much. And I think Aless, nope, still out there. But his second sector is 2.4 seconds off the pace, 5.5 seconds off the pace. So I think for Aless, if they fueled up the car for an extra lap of racing, for an extra lap of quali, I should say, then they might have another crack at it. But I think this might be the end of qualifying for this driver, the Grandada, on his out lap right now as well. And if they've timed that right, he'll come across the line just in time. If not, then that is unfortunately the end of qualifying for F1 AF. And looks like, yes, they have fueled the car up for an extra lap. Aless F1 going for another flying lap. Let's see what he can do. But out in front, we have got Ollie on his flying lap. Noben a little further down. It'll be Shanks, who is actually behind him, up in P12, I should say. And also, how's the audio? I'm not quite sure whether it's loud enough, the car sounds or anything, but here we go. Cool, there we go. Quali officially over. Now it's a 2.5 minute timer for the drivers to set their final lap time. So Ollie set the fastest sector 2 time, a 2/10 improvement on his time. Where will that put him? That'll put him on a 130.9, but he has a ways to go before he can take pole position away from the Alpines. Coming across the line, he'll have to do everything in this final sector to get an improvement. We've got the Williams of Aless and the Grandada also not too far behind, about to set their final lap times of the session as well. Here we go, across the line. What can Ollie do? Ollie improves up to P2, unfortunately not able to improve on any further positions other than that. We've got the XPG cars about to come across the line, but Gabza is another driver to keep an eye on. Dylan retires from the session, so pole position is up for grabs here. Ollie still in a 130.5, so that's really the time to beat. Bourbon Boy comes across the line in the XPGs. I should not have underestimated him. He takes P1. He takes pole position. Exotic Plains, unfortunately, he invalidates his lap time. Gabs is still on his lap time. Knight, unfortunately, unable to improve. The Grand Dada now coming across the line to set his final lap time of the session. Unfortunately, no improvement for the Grand Dada. The final driver then to keep an eye on is Gabza, who will come across the line. Bourbon has got pole position. Where will Gabza go? Gabza takes P5. And at the final lap, Bourbon, out of nowhere, takes pole position for XPG. And an incredible performance from them to take pole position right from the back. We haven't really seen them at the front of the grid too much. We saw a little bit of their potential shine in China, shine at round 3 right at the start, and we saw Flame also do absolutely brilliantly at Singapore, but it's been these little sporadic bursts of brilliance, and that seems to be the thing here today at Circuit of the Americas for Bourbon. The end of qualifying then, and I can say I did not expect to see an Aston Martin on pole position, and by so much, 3/10 ahead of Dylan in the Alpine. Ollie on the final lap, managing to set P3 with Knight and Gabza behind. Some familiar names up in the top 5. The Grand Dada also right behind them with a Scuderia Ferrari in P7. Join us in just a few moments for the race. 28 laps wait ahead of us. So grab yourself a snack, grab yourself a drink, and join us in just a few moments. Hello and welcome back to the EML. Hold that, 1 second. Apologies, ladies and gents, but it seems as though I'm having technical issues. So bear with me just a second. We'll see if we can get it all sorted, but if not, I'll keep you guys updated. Right, so technical issues are back up and running again. Seems to be, yeah, stuff happening again. Just give me a couple minutes, but we'll try and get this back up again. We'll give this one more shot, but if it's still giving us issues, then yeah, we'll call it a night, unfortunately. But again, just give me a few moments, and we'll try our best. Okay, ladies and gents, update on the situation. Unfortunately, the technical issues are ongoing, and we've decided to pull the plug on the race broadcast. I'm just as devastated. I absolutely hate that this is the second time we've had to deal with this season. Again, just qualifying being so exciting, and it being penultimate race of the season. So much we're missing out on. So be sure to check out our socials afterwards to check out who won, basically, who's, what the standings are, what the whole scenario is at the end. And yeah, we'll try and get these issues sorted out for next week. Hopefully we can at least get the season finale streamed and broadcast without any hassles for you guys. Again, completely outside my control. I'm so sorry, guys. But yeah, you'll have to join us next week, 7 p.m. I almost said GMT. It's BST now. That will be 6 p.m. GMT for the final race of the season, and hopefully there will be no issues. Anyways, I wish you guys all the best. Con 1 is about to start in about 13 minutes, so be sure to go check them out as well. But yeah, unfortunately, this is the end then of the Round 11 broadcast for Season 8 Con 2. I appreciate your time, and I do apologise once again. I'll see you all later. Good night.